I don't think anybody knows what player they're getting because we haven't seen Ja Morant play at the Ja Morant level for a very long time.
But again, if you look at those shooting splits and those numbers, they're horrible. So yes, he has to get in the lab, but he don't have a choice at this point.
It's actually so crazy how fast things could change for an NBA player. It really wasn't that long ago that Ja Morant looked like he was about to take over the entire league. Now he's the last domino to fall from those fun Grizzlies teams we all loved watching. Every single night you used to turn on ESPN, he was on damn near every single highlight. He was catching bodies at the rim, throwing insane passes, all while leading one of the youngest, most exciting teams in basketball. People weren't just calling him a superstar, they were talking about him like he was going to be one of the next faces of the NBA. Then in a very short matter of time, everything changed. The injuries, the suspensions, the Grizzlies slowly started crumbling apart, and somehow the conversation around Ja completely flipped. Instead of talking about how good he could become, people started asking if he'd ever get back to being that guy again. Now Portland made a move that shocked the entire basketball world. They traded for Ja Morant, and if people are sleeping on what this move could mean, welcome to Sleeping on the Clock, where if they're sleeping on it, we're speaking on it. Honestly speaking, the more I think about this trade, the more I actually like it. Not because it's a guaranteed home run, it's actually far from guaranteed if you look at it from all angles. It's definitely a gamble when you look at the fit, but great teams usually aren't built by playing it safe. Sometimes you gotta take a swing, and I think that's exactly what Portland just did. Now, before we get too deep into this, let's be real for just 1 second. If I told you 3 years ago that Ja Morant would eventually get traded, you would have laughed. Back then, Memphis looked like one of the best young situations in basketball. They had Ja, a great supporting cast, a great young coach, an identity. Everything pointed towards years of contention and playoff success. Ja was averaging over 27 points a game, making All-NBA teams, selling jerseys, giving us one viral highlight after another. But the biggest thing about Ja wasn't the numbers. It was the feeling and the impact that he had while he was on the court. Every single time that Memphis played, you expected him to do something spectacular. A poster dunk, a ridiculous pass, or a game winner. Something that made you stop whatever you were doing and just watch. That's what made Ja different. He wasn't just productive, he was must-watch basketball. But little by little, things started to change. And while everything off the court was happening, Memphis had to figure out how to win without him. That's when all the questions started. Like, can this team still build around Ja Morant? Can they count on him long term? Or can they just keep waiting for him to love basketball again? Eventually, those questions turned into one of the biggest trades we've seen in years. And honestly, I think this is where people are missing the point. Ever since the trade happened, everybody's been so focused on the risk. What if Ja gets hurt again? What if the off the court issues come back? How is he supposed to fit next to Dame? Those are all fair questions, but everybody already knew there was a risk factor when trading for Ja Morant anyways. But the real question is the upside worth betting on? And you know what I think people forget? Ja Morant is only 26 years old. Like, seriously, think about that. It feels like we've been talking about Ja Morant forever. The playoff runs, the highlights, the injuries, the suspensions. It feels like he's been in the league for over a decade, but he's just now entering what should be the prime of his career. And I think that's exactly what Portland saw. They weren't trading for the version of Ja everybody's been talking about over the last year or two. They were betting on the version they still believe he can become. Because let's be honest, how many guards in this league can actually do what Ja Morant does? Like, let's be serious. How many guys completely collapse the defense the second they touch the paint? How many guards have the combination of speed, explosion, creativity, confidence? There's just really not too many guards. You can't teach that. You either have it or you don't. And Ja Morant has it. That's why I don't think Portland looked at this like a rebuilding move. I think they looked at it as an opportunity, because players with this kind of talent almost never become available, especially at this stage of their career. Usually when a superstar gets traded, he's on the back end of his career. This wasn't that. Portland saw a chance to buy low on one of the most gifted players in basketball, and they took it. Because if Ja gets back to the player we already seen before, this trade starts making a whole lot more sense. But that's only half of the story, because now you have to figure out how Ja Morant fits next to Damian Lillard. And honestly, I think that's the part everybody's overlooking. A lot of people are acting like Portland just threw two big names together. I honestly don't see it that way. I think they paired two players who actually needed each other to win. Dame is coming off of a season-ending injury. He doesn't have to carry every single possession anymore, and I don't think he wants to. Ja Ja Morant doesn't have to walk into Portland feeling like he has to save the franchise overnight. For the first time in a long time, both of them get to share that responsibility, and I think that matters more than people realize. But there's another side to this trade that I don't think enough people are talking about. Damian Lillard. Think about everything that just happened over the last couple of years. After spending his entire career in Portland, he finally got the opportunity he'd been chasing for years. A legitimate chance to win a championship. A chance to play next to another superstar. On paper, it looked like the perfect fit, but basketball isn't always played on paper. The injuries happened, the chemistry never really became what people expected, and before Milwaukee ever had the chance to figure it out, it was over. Now somehow Dame finds himself right back where it all started, but this isn't the same Portland team he left. Back then, everything depended on Dame. If Portland wanted to win, Dame had to be incredible. Night after night, he had to score 35 points or more. He had to hit impossible shots. He had to create almost every single big play. That's exhausting. Now, for the first time in years, he doesn't have to do it alone. He has a solidified superstar teammate now. And honestly, I think that's why this trade is just as important for Dame as it is for Ja, because Ja changes everything for Damian Lillard. The second Ja gets downhill, the entire defense has to react. The weak side defender has to help. The big man has to step up. And all of a sudden, one of the greatest shooters we've ever seen in the history of the game is standing on the perimeter with more space than he's had in years. If you help on Ja, Dame gets an open three. If you stay attached to Dame, good luck on keeping Ja out of the paint. That's why I think these two fit better than people realize. Their games are completely different, but that's exactly why they work. Ja puts pressure on the rim, Dame puts pressure on the three-point line. One collapses the defense, the other makes you pay for it. Now obviously Portland didn't get Ja for free. They gave up real pieces, and honestly I actually like what Memphis got back, although they could have possibly got some draft capital as well. Instead of waiting around hoping everything would finally click again with Ja, they chose a different direction. They picked up a young player and a seasoned veteran that kind of fits their timeline, and they gave themselves more flexibility moving forward at the end of the day, and that's not a terrible return for someone who supposedly had no trade value. You just have to look at it from each team's perspective, because they both have a different philosophy. Memphis is betting on depth and development, while Portland is betting on superstar talent on an expiring contract. Neither team made a crazy decision. They're just trying to win in different ways. But if I'm Portland, I make this trade every single time, because you find role players and you can draft quality rotation pieces. But finding another Ja Morant, good luck. Players with that kind of ceiling almost never become available, especially at 26 years old. Now it's up to Mike Nori and the coaching staff over at Portland to make this work, and the front office definitely has to do some more roster reconstruction to get their 8-guard situation handled, because on paper this has potential to be one of the most exciting backcourts in basketball. Will there be growing pains? Absolutely. Like, who's bringing the ball up late in games? Who's taking the last shot? Can they defend well enough against the top teams in the West? Those are all real questions. But if I'm Portland, those are problems I'm willing to have, because I'd much rather spend a season figuring out how two superstars fit together than spend another season wondering where my next superstar is coming from. And if Dame and Ja figure this thing out, I really don't think people understand how dangerous this team could actually become. So where does that leave Portland? Honestly, I think that that's what makes this trade so exciting. For the first time in a long time, the Trailblazers actually have a sense of direction. They're not rebuilding, they're not stuck in the middle. They picked a lane and they went all in. Now, does that mean it'll work? Of course not. There's still a lot of questions. Can Ja stay healthy? Can Dame and Ja figure it out? Can Damian Lillard and Ja Morant figure out how to play off of each other? Can Mike Nori get the most out of this roster? We're not gonna get those answers overnight, but I don't think the Portland Trailblazers expected to. This wasn't a move for October. It wasn't a move for November. It was a move that they're expecting will pay off around playoff time, and maybe for the next couple of years if they can get Ja under contract. And honestly, that's why I respect it so much, because too many teams spend years trying not to make the wrong move. Portland decided they'd rather take a chance on making the right one. Meanwhile, Memphis gets a fresh start. They add players that fit the direction they're trying to go to. They pick up future assets, and now they get to see what life after Ja Morant looks like. So when people ask me who won this trade, it was definitely the Portland Trailblazers, who were able to strike a deal on a game-changing player like Ja Morant, especially with the amount of potential on the current roster already. If Ja helps bring Damian Lillard and Portland back into contention, everybody's gonna praise his move. If Memphis builds a deeper, younger team that wins consistently, they're going to get credit as well. Right now, nobody knows, and that's exactly why I love trades like this. They're fun to argue about, they're fun to watch unfold, and every single game from this point on is going to tell us a little bit more about who actually made the right decision. Now, I want to hear it from you guys. Who do you think won this trade? And if we come back to this video 1 or 2 years from now, who's going to be the better team, Portland or Memphis? And while you're down there in the comments, tell me what player or team I should break down next. So do me a favor, like the video if you want more basketball breakdowns like this, and subscribe to the channel so I can keep you informed and entertained with more videos of the players the world keeps sleeping on. Welcome to Sleeping on the Clock. If they're sleeping on it, we're speaking on it.